Now that we've gone over the most important auto-generated code parts from the CakePHP CLI, you may have noticed that there's a big duplicate code block in the template. To be more exact, I'm talking about the add category form and the edit category form. It's basically the same. If we look into the template, this is the add form. Here, this code block, and this is the edit form. It's this code block. It's basically the same. So now you may ask, how can I refactor that so we can get rid of the duplicate code blocks? And the answer here for templates is called elements. If we go into the CakePHP documentation, the cookbook, and look for elements, there's an area called Views Elements. And here it basically already says you many applications have small blocks of presentation code that need to be repeated from page to page, sometimes in different places in the layout. And yeah, if you want, you can read the whole documentation about it. But basically there is a folder present which is called templates element, and in there you can place any PHP file and use it as an element in your other template files. So in our case, we go into the element folder. We already have here a Flash folder where we can see that the Flash component already uses this, but we can ignore that for now. And now we create here a file called category fields.php. Now we go back to our add template from our categories, copy this code, or better cut this code from this block, paste it in there, and call the element like it is described here. So we need to use PHP, this element, but our element doesn't have the name help box, it has the name category fields. And of course we need to do the same in the edit template as well. Copy paste that in there, and now let's just see how we're doing. Okay, seems to be working. We can still edit. It's still working, and the add form also works the same. We can still add the same. So yeah, that's the most simplest way of how to reuse template blocks and template elements, which CakePHP provides. You can, of course, like the Flash component, create subfolders, which I would personally would do anyway. So here I would create a categories folder because this element is mainly concerned about the categories table, and therefore I would move that inside here and rename that just to fields. And now we have to tell this element function call inside the template that we now are working with a folder. So we have to call categories/fields, so that the element now knows it has to go into the categories folder and then use the fields template. And of course we need to do the same in the add template as well. So we have here in the edit template this, in the add template the same, and now I can go back and see that this is also still working, and the add template of course is working as well. All right, and with that you have pretty good control over how the template is built for your own framework or however you want to structure your code. But one thing that is also related to the templates folder is you may ask, okay, I have now here for each controller function one template file, but this is not really the whole HTML where I can see, okay, the HTML has to start with an HTML block, then the head block, then the body block, etc., etc. So where does all the basic HTML stuff go? Well, here we have a layout folder, and inside the layout folder we have the default PHP file. And the default PHP file, as you may already have guessed, is the default layout file, which will be used to render all our content, which then is injected at exactly this place here where we fetch the content of the associated action or controller function or whatever you're calling. So this is basically the default layout where you can adjust your loaded CSS, your meta tags, your scripts, add or adjust the already present nav menu, so the documentation and API link menus are exactly here. So you can adjust or remove or whatever you want to do, can adjust here. And then, of course, as you may have already seen, there's an error PHP. It's basically the same as the default PHP. It's just used for rendering errors. So if I just go, okay, this is an exception. We are just now in the debug mode. But if we are disabling the debug mode, debug false, and go back to our web page, this is now the HTML which is rendered from our error layout file, just so you know. Also, there is an error folder. This error folder is related to the more detailed types of errors you may get on your web page. So either 400 PHP or 500 PHP file for the respective 400 or 500 HTTP errors you may get on your web server, and you can basically adjust what you can see in there. But as just seen before, if we have the debug mode on, we don't see the usual error debug output, but we can see this, what is called the debug kit. And inside the debug kit, you get just a whole stack trace of where this error came from, how it was produced, and what probable suggestion would be if you want to resolve this problem. But the suggestion is not always correct in that regard. But anyway, yeah. Let's look again at the templates folder. Yeah, there's an email folder. If that's the email topic is just another more complicated topic, we don't have to go into that. Sales is also part of the reusable templates functionality, but we have few cells, so this is also part of another topic. But one thing I also want to shortly go through with you is the pages folder. And the pages folder currently has just one homepage, which is actually the default homepage you get when you browse to your default browser URL, which you've set for your web server. So this is exactly this file. And the reason this file is being rendered is because in our config routes.php, we have our builder, our routes builder connects the slash, which is our homepage for our website, connect to our pages controller, to the display action, and to the home parameter. So if we go into a source controller, pages controller, we basically have one method in here, which is the display function. And we don't have to go through all of this, but basically all it says is whatever is put into the parameter will be rendered as far as from the templates pages path we get here. So since we defined in our routes PHP that we pass the home parameter to the display function, it now renders the templates pages home file. If, for example, we would add another test PHP in here and just say hello YouTube and go back to our routes PHP, and instead of home now call test, because this file is called test, and go back here, we now see hello YouTube. And as you see here, we also get our default layout PHP rendered as well. So again, CakePHP by default renders the default PHP file and then injects the content, which is then rendered via either the pages or the respected controller actions into this content variable and outputs it at this exact location. And yeah, with that, you should be able to create some awesome template structures on your own. I hope you have a better understanding of what is going on here with the CakePHP templates. You know what to do, and I will see you in the next one.